Career transitions during difficult times. We've got you covered right here on the Leadership Voice. Welcome to the Leadership Voice. I'm your host, Jay Barbuto. Today we'll be talking about how to navigate your career transitions during difficult times or crises. Joining us today will be network extraordinaire Terry Goldfarb, who has spent her entire career leveraging networks for public, private, and nonprofit organizations. She's agreed to join us to share her insights. So please welcome Terry Goldfarb.
Hi, Jay. Thanks so much. I'm excited to help share these tips with people and help them through this tough time.
Terry, it's great to have you on the show. And during these times, this kind of topic just really meets the needs of a lot of folks that are facing these quarantines and facing these difficult challenges. Could you share a little bit about your current work and programs, Terry?
Sure. I've been coaching executives in transition for about 30 years while I was a senior director of marketing at RGP. Since I retired, I've been consulting on my own and coaching executives, but I've also broadened it to I'm coaching a lot of college students, postgrads, and folks at the manager level as well, because right now there's such a huge need. And I'm just happy to be able to reach out and respond and help these people.
That's terrific. So how does networking play large for people that are facing transitions?
It's huge. 82% of all jobs are found through networking. That's the statistic that's been around forever. I don't even remember. I mean, I've been hearing about it for years and years. And why is that? Well, people are far more likely to help people they know, which is why you should leverage your network. And what's happening is that so many jobs are never even posted because they're already taken care of from referrals through people's networks, even through recruiters. So networking is huge because they are able to make valuable references. They know you, they know what you're capable of, they know your work ethic, they know a lot about you, and they feel very comfortable helping you.
You know, a lot of people are intimidated by this whole notion of networking and creating networks. Could you tell our viewers how to leverage their existing networks?
You bet. But first, I'd like to say you need to kind of reframe how you think about networking. People think of it as something very negative and kind of not fun to do. But if you think of it as strictly connecting and reconnecting with people, it really, I think, makes it feel a whole lot different. So reconnecting with people you haven't talked to in a while is a very fun thing. And so I'm hoping that reframing that will make this process a little bit more palatable for you. Oh, so anyway, right now, leveraging your own network is huge. And what I suggest is that you do it in categories. If you think of people that you went to high school with, and you think of people you went to college with, if you think of the neighborhoods you've lived in, your aunts and uncles, if you think of your insurance salespeople and people that you just would not normally think about, but these people all have connections. And I would suggest that you start just thinking of them by category: the philanthropic organizations you're involved with, the church, the sporting events, and just start writing down the names from every category you can possibly think of. And then you can start reaching out to those people in a number of ways, creative ways, which we'll talk about in a minute, so that you can identify who already knows you and who is already there to help you.
And so when somebody gets really advanced in leveraging and working their networks, such as yourself, I'm aware that you actually have a database that you use to track and to update your network.
Right. So when you make this list, I suggest, just doing a brain dump on a tablet as you think of every category. And then once you've got that, you can start putting those names into an Excel spreadsheet with a last name column and a first name column, an email column, and then a category column. So you've got, if you worked at KPMG, you can have your KPMG contacts. If you've got your neighborhood from Mission Viejo, you've got a Mission Viejo category. And you do that because you can sort it by categories that way if you want to reach out to people in a group. And then you can start reaching out to those people in a number of ways, either individually or through groups. And I suggest through groups because it's more fun. And then also just be aware that your LinkedIn contacts you can download into that same spreadsheet, which I encourage you to do.
So these times where a lot of folks are working from home and working in virtual settings, and Could you talk about how to creatively leverage our networks in these difficult times?
Yeah, it's so great. We have these fabulous tools now. You've got Zoom, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, the phone, texting, so many ways to reach out to people. There's no excuse at all for not having uh, a lot of activity going on. So with texting, one of the things you can do is whenever you think of somebody, or just go through your contact list and just find a name you haven't talked to in a long time and just send them a text simply saying, I was just thinking of you. How are you doing? I promise you, you'll get a response very quickly. You can send out through LinkedIn, reach out to people that way if you don't have their contact information. People, same thing, just say you've been thinking about them and you'd love to connect and reach out to them. Sometimes they'll have their personal contact information in there, but if they don't, you can just do it through LinkedIn. And then you can just, if you have their contact information, of course, just reaching out through email. And I suggest scheduling Zoom meetings because it makes the contact much warmer. And I say, grab a cup of coffee and let's have a coffee break together. Or I've been having cocktails with friends at 5, and there'll be 4 or 5 of us on the call. And it's like having them in your room, and it's warmer, and you actually get to connect and look at them in the eyes, laugh together, even show pictures to everybody. And it makes renewing those contacts just more authentic.
In some ways, there's actually even greater opportunities to do it in a virtual setting such as this, because the feasibility of face-to-face meetings
Oh, yeah.
in such with such regularity is almost impossible.
Well, not only that, but one of the things you can do is people like to get together with people that they've kind of played with before. So if you send a note to 5 or 6 people from the old hood or from the team that you played on and say, I thought I'd get everybody together on a Zoom call, grab your beers and I'll set it all up for 5 o'clock tomorrow night. Everybody wants to do that because they're so they've been so alone, and now they actually get to have their pals around them or their girlfriends around them. And um, people have been meeting with book clubs on Zoom. People have been uh, just catching up with old neighborhood people or college friends, reaching out to college friends from years ago. And I really encourage you to do that. People are even having game nights, and they're having barbecues. They're out at their barbecues with everybody else at their barbecues. They're having dinner parties showing pictures of what they're eating for dinner. And you can do this to connect with everybody, that every conceivable person. You can just get creative. But again, doing it in groups of people, you're far more likely to get people to participate for sure. Although I think everybody's ready to participate because they're all kind of lonely.
So that's terrific, Terry. Thank you. So let's get right to the step one. What advice would you give to someone facing or considering career transitions during these challenging times?
Okay. So one of the things that I suggest is, besides the networking, I'll talk that in a minute, is taking advantage of this time to brush up on any skills you might need to develop. So if there's any technology skills you'd like to brush up on or learn, you can do all of this online, and I encourage you to take advantage of that. Also, I encourage you to develop your interviewing or speaking skills. Do some type of online Toastmasters, or there are tutorials online, probably hundreds of them, on interviewing skills that'll help you with that process. And with Zoom, it's so easy, and I encourage you to do that and take advantage of it. And then through LinkedIn, this is a chance to reach out to people and let them know you're here for them. How can you help them? Which is the number one rule of networking, is helping other people. And then tell them specifically how they can help you. I encourage you to get the Orange County Business Journal and read about what's going on in the community. There's a lot of new companies. It'll give you ideas of companies to target. And there's, on and on. There's a lot of things you can be doing.
Thank you, Terry. Terry, I think we have time for a couple of questions from our audience. Do we have any questions from the audience, Rosie?
We do, Jay. Our first question comes from Selena. Selena's from Chino Hills, and her question is, how can I use my LinkedIn connections to help me with looking for a new job if I have not actually met them in person yet?
Excellent question, Selena. This is a great chance to reach out to those people through LinkedIn. Tell them that that they're connected through LinkedIn, but you don't really know each other. But this is a chance you'd like to get to know them better. Can you set up a Zoom call that face-to-face contact and having a chance to warm up that introduction makes a big difference. I'm sure they'll say yes. And then you just get a chance to say, so where have you been? What have you been doing? How are you handling this difficult time? How can I help you? And this is kind of what I could use. So I think it's a very natural time to be able to reach out to people you don't know and say, let's get to know each other.
Oh, that's terrific. Do we have a second question? I think we have time for one more.
Yes, our next question is from Jamie from Brea. How would somebody that has recently switched from working from home to from their office create an office space separate from their family home life?
That's a challenging one, but somehow creating some place where you can be secure without outside noise and outside intrusion. So whether it's in a den or another bedroom, that you can kind of maybe get some kind of expanding wall and wall it off so that you have that privacy, making a schedule where you tell the rest of the family you're going to be on the phone or you need to be working during this time, so you need to not be interrupted, putting a sign on the door saying, busy right now. Right now I've got signs on the door saying I'm on a call, don't ring the doorbell, don't knock on the door, so that I can be left alone. And making a schedule so that everybody can honor that schedule. And you might have spouses in the same situation, so honoring one another's schedules and then taking over, keeping the dogs and the kids out of the way while they're busy. So and it's challenging, but everybody is so patient and understanding right now because everybody has the same issue. So actually checking with some of your friends and colleagues about how they're handling it's a good idea as well.
Thank you, Terry. It is interesting that we're probably in a rare time when there's so many people that are all facing a very similar challenge. And it's probably been a long time since that's been the case.
Well, I think people are really, really wanting to help one another and get help. So I think asking other people how they're managing this, maybe get a bunch of your friends on the phone and say, okay, how's everybody handling this, and how are you getting your work done, and how are you managing getting that space that you need? And I think you'll get a lot of several other ideas that might be helpful.
Thank you, Terry, for joining us on today's episode and sharing your perspective around career transitions during these difficult times. Well, I think that does it for today's show. I'm Jay Barbuto on behalf of the Center for Leadership at Cal State Fullerton. We'll see you next time right here on the Leadership Voice.